My 47 female younger coworker 18 male has been flirting with me. It seems mostly harmless, but does this count as cheating on my husband male 50? Am I crossing a line?
TL, Doctor, my coworker and I have been kind of flirty with each other, but it's benefited my relationship with my husband. Not sure if I should put a stop to it. Edit, I'm getting downvoted a lot, just for responding to your questions. I'm just looking for advice, and trying to explain the situation. I appreciate all the helpful comments though. Final edit, I'm sorry if I didn't respond to you all, but I did read each and every comment, so thank you all. I've decided the best thing to do for now is tell my husband about Todd, and see how he feels about the situation. Sorry in advance if this turns into a long post. Names have been changed for privacy. We'll call my coworker Todd, and my husband of 10 years is Jim. My workplace hired Todd a few months back as part of our student program. He's a smart, outgoing type of boy, and objectively good looking, if I dare say so. He's been helpful all around the office doing various jobs. I work in hours, and was part of Todd's interview panel, so I've been in contact with him since he started, and he's always been quite friendly with me. For the past month Todd has been working in my section helping us process a backlog of paperwork caused by COVID, and spending a lot of time in my office, where the only working scanner is. Initially just making small talk, but soon we realized we shared some hobbies, and started to bond. He does an extracurricular activity that I also did when I was in school, so I was able to give him advice on a few things. We definitely clicked into a natural friendship. Slowly, Todd and I started to make jokes here and there. We both have a more X-rated sense of humor, and can't help ourselves sometimes. For example, Todd was trying to replace the toner in the printer and kind of just jammed it in there rather aggressively, so I said, "Damn, I hope you don't treat your dates like that," and he replied, "Only if they ask for it." I know it's an inappropriate dumb joke, but we got our kicks. These jokes have ramped up more and more to where we only seem to talk in innuendo when we are alone, and we have inside jokes we share. Some of my coworkers joke that Todd is my work husband. I've talked about my husband a bit with Todd, and he now refers to Jim as the old man. Todd has also shared some details about his relationships and the girls he's after. One comment that really stood out to me was him saying, "If only I could get a girl with legs like yours, I'd be in business." That's when I became 99% sure this was flirting. A week ago my favorite cafe near our office opened back up. Takeout only, of course, and I was telling Todd how great it was when he suggested we head over there for break. In hindsight maybe this isn't appropriate, but I've been to coffee with my other coworkers before, so I didn't think much of it. During our coffee break he offered to pay, and we found a park bench to drink, chat and enjoy the nice weather. As we were leaving, Todd offered a hand to help me up from the bench, and then proceeded to hold my upper arm until we'd left the park we were in. Since then I guess we've crossed some barrier where we feel comfortable making physical contact with each other. Nothing crazy really, just a cheeky elbow bump, or a poke on the shoulder, that sort of thing. A few times he has brushed up against me when we pass in the hall/doorway, but that's about the worst of it. Now as for my marriage, my husband Jim and I have definitely reached the quiet stage of life. We never had kids, so it's just the two of us. We make love maybe once a month normally. I've never had a problem with it, and we've been very happy together. Since this tension with Todd has begun, my activity with my husband has definitely increased, and it's been wonderful for us both. I haven't told Jim about Todd yet, other than there's a nice summer student working for us and helping me out. We just celebrated Jim's 50th birthday with a romantic dinner. It was really nice. I can't imagine in a million years I could ever truly cheat on my husband. I love him very dearly, but I'd be lying if I said Todd hadn't stirred me up a bit. I feel more attractive than I have in ages. My husband has noticed a difference in me, I think, but he just appreciates I'm more active sexually and putting some extra effort in my appearance. Is this level of flirting too much? My husband is happy, we are closer than ever before, but is this wrong? Should I tell Jim about this? I'll be able to have a sale later on if Todd decides he wants to apply with my firm full time and everyone has been very satisfied with his work. I'm not sure if I should put a stop to this or if it's a victimless crime. I think you're crossing the line. Ask yourself, if you found out your husband was doing everything you were doing with an 18-year-old girl from work, how would you feel? Since things haven't gotten too out of hand yet, I think you should tell your husband everything. Also use this story to let him know that you still want to feel desired and you're not ready to be the old retired couple yet. In long relationships it's very easy to become comfortable with the way things are. Sometimes you don't even know you're missing something till you get a little tease of it, which in this case is sexual attention. Yes, change the situation and then see how it feels. I understand wanting to feel desired, feel appreciated, have attention, etc., but communicate that and give the husband a chance to rise to the occasion and give up what she needs. It seems like the innocent flirting is reaching the point of escalating to something way more, based on the comments and physical touching. I agree with this comment. Flip it and think, if you'd be uncomfortable with your husband doing it. You mentioned your husband appreciates you putting some more work into being sexual. Maybe you yourself were falling into the complacent long-term couple that you said you were afraid of. I think this is early enough to totally come clean to your husband about, and, like other comments said, use it to explain your concerns. Also, you should find a way to address Todd. Taking you to parks and holding your arm is going over the physical touch barrier. You're getting off from Todd doing it when it seems like you'd, hopefully, rather have your husband be the one doing that. Giving you the benefit of the doubt here. You seem like you have a good marriage. Best of luck. Definitely crossing a line and very much teetering on emotional cheating. As a grown-ass woman, you obviously know what comes next. You need to put a stop to this and stop leading on that boy. Your husband deserves better. Grow up and stop playing these childish games. You being in ours should be well aware this is absolutely inappropriate. Yes, exactly. Some of these comments are like, oh, maybe you're going a bit too far. Not to sound rude, but, what? A little too far? Op sounds so immature, saying in some replies how it may be a cultural thing, and how it's not so bad, because her husband watches porn. Again, sound rude, but Op, how the hell is your man watching porn compared to you flirting with a guy more than half your age, going out with him, and blaming it on everything but yourself? I feel so bad for the husband. Op admits that her sex life has gone up because of this. Husband needs to run away fast. It's weird. Like if an almost 50-year-old man said this to a young woman, he'd be fired for sexual harassment. I think if someone is old enough to be your mother or grandmother, the jokes need to stop. I kind of find her behavior skeevy. He's just a kid. As someone in ours, you should know better than to actively flirt with coworkers and just how potentially problematic that can be. This is a sexual harassment suit just waiting to happen. And how do you think your husband would feel if he found out the only reason you are suddenly so much more interested in things like sex with him is because you've been flirting with some 18-year-old kid at your work? The fact that you haven't discussed this with him tells me you already know he would be upset about it. Not only a coworker, but she has control over this person's employment situation. She is playing with fire, and doing all sorts of rationalizing of her behavior to make it okay in her head. If you wouldn't be okay with your husband flirting with an 18-year-old that he works with, and you don't feel 100% okay with telling your husband everything, then yes, it's crossing the line. This is a type of situation where in a 1 to 6 months time you will cheat on your husband and then will say it just happened. Most affairs begin with boundaries being pushed inch by inch. Read your post yourself. It started with chatting, then with sexual jokes, then with him complimenting your legs, then with the coffee date in the park, then with you two physically touching each other, him brushing up against you in the hallway a few times. What's next? A hug, a kiss, a B******, sex. You don't need to imagine it, because you're already doing it. You're flirting back. That's emotional cheating. Yeah, you're not sleeping with the guy, but it's still a form of cheating. Not only that, but you're doing this stuff with an 18-year-old kid. He may be legal, but he's still a teenager. I'm 25 ATM, and the maturity difference between a 25-year-old and an 18-year-old is already petty huge. You're significantly older. You have power over him in age/experience and work. This is predatory in my opinion. The idea of flirting with an 18-year-old grossed me out at 21 over 22. Slowly, Todd and I started to make jokes here and there. We both have a more X-rated sense of humor and can't help ourselves sometimes. These jokes have ramped up more and more to where we only seem to talk in innuendo when we are alone, and we have inside jokes we share. You are the hour person and you are doing this? With a teenager? You are definitely taking things too far. Marriage aside, yes, you are crossing lines. You are setting your company up for trouble and a possible sexual harassment lawsuit in the future. You ought to know that better than anyone. Being the hour person, I think this flirting is going a bit too far. Besides, your husband doesn't know about it, and regardless if he is okay with it or not, you need to communicate if these things are okay. It's one thing to say to a barista at Starbucks that they have a nice smile, and it's another thing to actively flirt with a coworker on a daily basis. I would tell Todd that you're married and you think you stepped too far and want to keep a friendship or professional coworker relationship. My ex-wife started a situation with a coworker like this at her work. She chose the fun new relationship over our marriage and child. Speaking as someone on the other side of this situation, if you want this, then divorce your husband and do what you want, but don't play this game behind his back. You know what you're doing, and you obviously feel guilty, or you wouldn't be questioning it at all. Cut it out and work on your marriage, or get out. Don't start playing these games while you are in a relationship. She just wants us to say these things happen. It's okay 'cause he watches porn every once in a while. It's all about validation, and if she can get just one person to say what she's doing is even slightly okay, I'm sure she'll ignore all of this and do what she wants regardless. This, my mom always says, if you have to ask if something is wrong, you already know the answer. You probably won't read this op, but I'm just going to give you a heads up on your fellow co-workers who have called Todd your work husband. At my place of work, we used to have a male and female co-worker, both married, who pulled this kind of shit. They were always in each other's office, going to break at the same time, but leaving from separate entrances, like they were fooling us, and touching each other constantly and flirting. Granted, some of the office barflies thought it was cute, but the vast majority of us felt very uncomfortable, especially since their spouses would semi-frequently come into our office to drop things off, etc. for their spouses. Anyway, I was walking on break and caught these two behind a building making out like crazy. I had enough. I whipped out my phone and took a number of photos of them making out. Unbeknownst to them, I happened to be Facebook friends with both cheating co-workers and their spouses. So I made a fake Facebook account and sent their spouses the pictures. Right after, I sent an anonymous email to ours with those pictures attached and said that these two were making the majority of the office uncomfortable with their behavior. Well, a shitstorm ensued. I won't go into details, but both of those co-workers were fired. Both husband and wife of these cheaters divorced them. So you may think your co-workers who say that Todd is your work husband either approve or think it's harmless/cute, but I guarantee there are a number of them that are disgusted with you. You're a married woman and very uncomfortable with both of your behavior. It's only a matter of time that you get busted and given your walking papers. Would you consider it cheating if your husband did the same? Would he consider it cheating? Every marriage and relationship is different, and the boundaries and limits are different for everyone. I think the fact that you're asking random people on the internet means that you were a little bit concerned. The power structure alone is inappropriate in the workplace, and the crossing of boundaries is disrespectful to your marriage. If this is all okay, why haven't you told Jim? Because you know he'll freak out. You come across like a predator, going after a teenager. I mean, I'm only 29, so take my advice for what it's worth. You are playing with fire. This is how affairs start. One minute you're back quote innocently flirting, and the next you were so caught up in the excitement that you're fucking him in the office bathroom and wondering how it got to that point. You need to set some boundaries immediately. If you work in hours, you should really know better than this. You could lose your job and your marriage. Would you like your husband joking about sex with a child? Jesus, the amount of your life and reputation that you're entrusting to a fucking 18-year-old, and you brag about people calling him your work husband, as if they are not cringing behind your back. What do you really think he gets out of this besides a thrill and a story of he doesn't get pussy? But hey, what's a girl's to do? You're in the quiet phase of your marriage. Nothing can be done about that on your end. How? This Justin, woman can be pedophiles too. He may be 18, but you're being gross as fuck. If you were a man, every comment would be calling you a pedophile. He's young as fuck, and you know better. If it's so harmless, then why are you hiding it from your husband? You're obviously attracted to him, so I wouldn't be surprised if you continue to cross the line and actually screw him. You were a bored wife and an attractive young boy gave you attention and you jumped. The way I personally have looked at workplace flirting is that if you can describe it to your so in detail and without feeling guilty, then you aren't doing anything wrong. However, it feels like Todd might be seeing this as more than just flirty banter between coworkers and actually has a thing for you. If he keeps progressing this flirting, I would suggest talking to him about it in order to learn if he expects anything or not. The way I personally have looked at workplace flirting is that if you can describe it to your so in detail and without feeling guilty, then you aren't doing anything wrong. Thing is, she can't do that. Otherwise that's what she would have done instead of coming here. She's in ours, though, which gives her a lot of power over the kid's job security. There's way too much an imbalance of power here for it to be okay, even if there isn't a dating policy. If you value your marriage as much as you claim to, then openly discuss the situation with your husband, telling him everything you posted here, including how it makes you feel when you and the 18-year-old talk and casually touch. Even better, show him your original post, with no comments from others. If he has any problems with it, you'll know very quickly. If not, then whatever works for the two of you is your business, and who cares what everyone else thinks. Side note, one thing I personally cannot get past though, is if the genders were reversed, most people would literally scream sexual harassment. Somehow the woman being the higher up, and the man being the subordinate doesn't cause the same reaction. As much as I hate to admit it, I too don't feel the same wrongness in this, that I know I would with reverse genders, so I guess I'm no different. Thank you all. If story will have update, will post here. Do comment about the story. Like and subscribe for upcoming stories.